The AAC Report is brought to you by Blahut of Realty One Group. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, call Blahut anytime at 407-748-0484. Welcome to the AAC Report only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for listening. Coming up on today's show, we'll talk UConn Women's Basketball with Alexa Philippou of the Hartford Courant. We'll discuss the current season, their exhibition against the women's national team this week, and the special relationship that existed between the Huskies and Kobe and Gigi Bryant. But first, let's update news in men's basketball. The American has 5 teams receiving votes in the AP Top 25, the first time since March of 2014. 4 American squads earning votes in the USA Today Coaches Poll. Houston moved up to number 20 in the Coaches Poll and number 21 in the AP Top 25, while Wichita State remains at number 22 in the Coaches Poll and re-entered the AP rankings at number 23. Tulsa is receiving votes in both polls for the first time this season, while Memphis is also receiving votes in both polls. SMU now getting votes in the AP Top 25. As we check the standings as of this recording on Tuesday evening, Tulsa and Houston tied first at 6-1 with Wichita State, Cincinnati, and Memphis remaining a game back at 5-2. This week's honors, the player of the week, Martins Igbanu of Tulsa. He averaged 19.5 points, 8 rebounds, and a pair of wins for the first-place Golden Hurricane. Had a big double-double of 28 points, 10 boards in the overtime victory over UConn this past Sunday. And the freshman of the week is Caleb Mills from Houston. 15 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 2 wins for the Cougs last week. The freshman guard had 20 points in their big comeback win over UConn. After an early break, we will be back with Alexa Philippou of the Hartford Courant on UConn Women's Basketball when the AAC Report continues in just a moment. Are you tired of the endless money pit of paying rent? Do you have a home you need to sell for top dollar? Talk to the Hometown Advantage award-winning real estate professional and fellow UCF Knight, Blake Blahut of Realty One Group. Blake has proven to produce results and a smooth process for his clients all across Central Florida. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, talk to Blake Blahut. Visit him at his website, blakesorlandohomes.com, or contact him anytime at 407-748-0484. Again, blakesorlandohomes.com and 407-748-0484. Get the hometown advantage by working with Blake. All right, we're time now to take a look at UConn Women's Basketball for the 2019-2020 season. Joining us to do that now is Alexa Philippou. She is with the Hartford Courant and covers the women Huskies all season long. Alexa, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about the season so far. And, it's kind of hard to grade UConn on a year-to-year basis because their standard of excellence is so great. The expectations are always very lofty. And the team now at 18-1, having the one loss to Baylor in a long home winning streak. But still, there's questions, because of the team. It has such great expectations. Are they meeting expectations? Are they below expectations? Where would you assess them to be?
Well, I think there's a kind of a range of expectations almost. If you talk with people like Gino Ariema, I wouldn't say he had low expectations for this team, but I think he had realistic ones in terms of just this team being maybe, I would say, more of a work in progress than previous ones. He didn't have a returning All-American or two because he had that luxury the past 2 years with Katie Lou Samuelson and Rafisa Collier, and he knew that this team is relatively young and inexperienced. They're starting 2 sophomores. That one of their other starters right now is a senior who wasn't even really playing before this season. So even just with all the different pieces, and I think the way he's put it best is that everyone's playing a different role than they have, than they are this year than they are last year. And so given all that, I think you could say that they're actually surpassing, but they're meeting expectations. They're doing well. They're 18-1. They lost to a really tough Baylor team, but they were neck and neck with them for most of it. I do think that the next few weeks we're going to learn a lot more about this team because they have Oregon coming up a week, or not even a week from today. It was a week from yesterday, so Monday, and then also South Carolina after that. I do think, sometimes it's interesting with fans. They're used to seeing UConn teams dominate, especially AAC opponents. They're used to just, having them maybe be a lock to the Final Four, and maybe that's a little bit uncertain right now. But I think the good thing about this team that I think we are seeing in the past few weeks is that certain players are kind of coming along more quickly than maybe we had expected, particularly the freshmen are playing some of their best basketball as of late. So I do think there's signs, too, and we've seen glimpses from others as well, that if it all comes together at the right time, that this team could be a real threat in the NCAA tournament, and it's not going to be necessarily a team that most other teams are going to want to see. So I think there's some question marks still, but I think in general, there's still things to be hopeful about, and I think they're trending in the right direction.
Well, this team continually, of course, has many superstars throughout the course of the history. And talk about the freshmen that are playing, because I would imagine it's tough for the freshmen to have an impact on this team, right?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, Kristen Williams last year as a freshman, she started and she had an impact right away. But, these freshmen have a little bit of a different role. They're coming off the bench. Gino knows that they're not going to necessarily be scoring a ton, at least initially, that they weren't going to necessarily be contributors on offense. But the main message that he's been giving them is that, if you're in the game, regardless of whether or not you're scoring, you need to make an impact somehow. And so they each have been doing that in different ways. I think Anna Mockrout, actually, her offense has really taken off. She's looking really more and more confident each time she steps on the floor. So she is definitely scoring more often. She had 24, it was against Tulsa, or not Tulsa, what was that game the other day? ECU. She had 24 points. She had 21, I think, against Tulsa, too. So maybe the competition isn't quite as high in those games, but the confidence is really picking up for her. And she's also doing the little things like rebounding and having really good court awareness that allows her to, have a lot of assists and whatnot. And then Aubrey Griffin's defense and athleticism have been a huge advantage for UConn, too. In that Tennessee game, she was basically wherever they needed her to be. On defense, picking up offensive rebounds on the other end of the floor and putting them up for putbacks. So she's definitely progressing. I think that was also a really good sign for her to be able to do that against a Tennessee team that, it's a tough team to play against. They're really big. They're a ranked squad. It's not like it's, just a random team coming in. That was a tough team, and I think people were impressed that she was able to put together a type of performance like that in that kind of big game situation too. So I think at this point, he is actually looking for those two to make an impact because they've shown that they can, and so now it's just stringing together that consistency moving forward.
And talk about some of the other players on this team, that make big contributions. Names that come to mind immediately are Megan Walker, Kristen Williams, Olivia Nelson Ododa. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about this squad?
Yeah, so it's interesting. We've been kind of calling. There's the core four, which is like a nickname that we've kind of coined for Kristen Williams, Crystal Dangerfield, Olivia Nelson Ododa, and Megan Walker, because those for a while were like the main four contributors on offense, to the point where they were maybe scoring like anywhere between 80 and 90% of the team's points. That sometimes has been a little bit in flux. For parts of this month, we've seen really Megan Walker, Kristen Williams, and Crystal Dangerfield pick up the majority of that slack. As Olivia Nelson Ododa's been going through some ups and downs, but it really is the four of them who are carrying the load, at least scoring-wise, on this team. Now that has potential to change with the freshmen kind of up and coming, but I definitely think you're seeing, going back to that I made earlier, that all these players are in new roles, they're also seeing more defensive attention turned on to them. Because before, it was, the defenses would just focus on Katie Lou and Nafisa, but now it's, they're focusing on Kristen and on Megan Walker in particular, too, and Crystal to next. So they're still adjusting to how to still be effective and productive in light of that, and that has some ups and downs. You do see a little bit, I wouldn't say inconsistency, but For Kristen, like sometimes she had a really good game too, but in the Tennessee game, she kind of fell short, and she knows that she's trying to adjust to that. I do think you see a little bit more Megan and Crystal just being those more experienced junior leaders that they are. And Megan, I wouldn't say the biggest surprise, but her initial jump from where she was last season, she's the leading scorer. I don't know that her scoring off the top of my head around 20 points per game, and she's definitely become a better force board too. So I think her progress is something that everyone's been really impressed by and will be really important for the team moving.
Well, UConn has never lost a game since they've been in the American Conference, and they're going back to the Big East. Is there any sort of accomplishment they feel like if they can finish this off and having gone undefeated in the American the entire time they were there?
I think they really still have that on staying perfect in the American, getting that last regular season and conference tournament title, and and from there just being able to finish it out perfect. They don't want to be the one lost the one or two, however many AAC games. I think there's, I wouldn't say scares, but Memphis and UCF a few weeks ago, those were really tough road. So I think that was a good test for them, and they know. I don't think they think anything's given by any. And they feel very battle-tested, and they know how to get through those kind of tough situations, tough moments in the games without panicking. It'll be interesting to see as they have the rest of their conference slate. They'll eventually, obviously have to worry about that in the tournament. Guys are still in that process, and they want to finish off perfect and undefeated, and then be able to, eventually get that into the Big East.
And, of course, we're recording this interview on a Tuesday evening, and on Monday night, UConn got to do something kind of fun, taking on Team USA in an exhibition. And, of course, Team USA is kind of like a UConn alumni team with 5 Huskies on that team, with the likes of Sue Bird and Tina Charles, Nafisa Collier. Can you talk about that experience last night?
Yeah, yesterday was, we're kind of joking, calling it Husky Palooza, because you had 5 members of the USA team, and then you had Emma obviously playing UConn, and they were also honoring the 2009-2010 UConn teams that won national titles. So people like Mark Moore, Harris, Caroline Doty, Renee Montgomery were all back. And then you got the logo on the call for ESPN. So it was incredible. You had every national title represented in that. So that was, I think, a really special moment program for the coaching staff, especially like Gino and Steve Daly, who've been there literally the whole 35 years, and we're able to all see it. So many of the parts of their incredible legacy all come together, and there was a little bit of cloud over it. I wouldn't say even little. It was a big cloud over the night, but the death of Kobe Bryant and Gigi Bryant really on the minds of everyone, and the teams did honor that. And USA and UConn ties to the Bryant family and to Kobe. So it was definitely an emotional day for a lot of reasons, a huge range of emotions. But it was definitely, the basketball game too was like very competitive. It was fun. It was exciting after a little bit of up and down first quarter. So I think the team was actually, setting aside the sadness of a lot of the evening, the team was happy with how they competed against the U.S. national team.
Yeah, before I get into the Kobe Bryant and Gigi Bryant story just for a second, when they play this exhibition like this, they obviously have big goals for their season, but this is kind of a unique situation to play, the national women's basketball team. How hard are they trying to win that game?
Yeah, no, I think it's funny because Gino's joking beforehand, like basically saying that his team had no chance to get against the U.S. national team, and I thought he looked pretty kind of subdued and wasn't really as into it. But you could see as the game went on, he was definitely getting more fired up and everything, and the team was, once able to take the lead, they got this feeling we can do this. We're not going to be, starstruck and nervous and compete with these guys. So. I think they are definitely trying hard. They have a game Thursday, and they're just off on Saturday, so they didn't really look like it. They looked really energetic. They wanted to compete. They wanted to win because they were leading points in the game. But at the end of the day, the U.S. team was just too deep, too strong, too big for them to really pull out the upset. But I think it was a really good experience also for their confidence because they know that now that they can compete with that team, really the nation's best players, that they can compete with anyone. So I think it was a good matchup to have for Oregon and Carolina come up and give them a really hard test.
Well, I know that, Kobe and Gigi Bryant were honored at sporting events all around the country the last couple of days. But with UConn, it takes on a different tone, if you will, because of the relationship the Bryants had with UConn. Gigi, of course, dreamed of being a UConn Husky. So, I just have to imagine how gut-wrenching it was for the UConn family to hear this tragic news. Can you talk a little? I know Mike Anthony, your colleague, did a great article about this relationship, which folks should check out at the Hartford Courant. What are your feelings about? Can you relay? It's hard to put into words. I'm struggling here myself. Can you talk about the relationship that the Bryant family had with UConn basketball?
It was definitely something special. I think everyone has been talking a lot about how Kobe was so excited about his daughter, getting into the sport and wanted to help her just kind of love it as much as he did and help her become the best version of a basketball player and as a person, of course, too, as she could be. And so, I think this started maybe a few years back, and Gino and the players were kind of telling such stories about that, about being able to first meet them when they first stood up at a game, but then it developed over time. And some players like Tracy Nielsen and Gabby Williams were deep players, and I think they developed it seemed like a personal relationship, even just outside like the UConn sphere. Like they would keep in touch and FaceTime and whatnot. And even players like Crystal Dangerfield. Last night she's a senior, and so when we spoke with her, she was even had a feeling that they would have maybe been at the game coming up, because that was obviously they had ties to Oregon too, so that was two programs they were tight with, and so it was just incredibly emotional, and there was really put into words just kind of the tragedy and the heartbreak that was felt last night. And I think the most touching thing, there's a few different things that were touching, but the UConn bench set aside a seat and they put a jersey with number 2, which I think was Gigi's number. It was a UConn, it was like a Huskies jersey, and they put flowers there, and that was, supposed to symbolize, mercy and a feat for her. That they kept that for her throughout the game. And then they did the 8-second backcourt violation, followed by the 24-second shot clock violation for both teams to start the game. And another thing that I thought was really just powerful all around is Bryant. In her first game back from rupturing her Achilles last spring, she wrote all of the names of the victims of the helicopter crash on her shoes, and wasn't just about obviously Gigi and Kobe. Probably those were the people that in the USA players knew, but she was able to honor I was affected by this, because obviously it was 9 people who lost their lives. So very, very just emotional. Again, very hard to kind of really capture just, the pain that everyone's feeling. But I was also I thought the players, especially the bunch of, 18 to 22-year-olds, were very strong in expressing all that, especially, having to talk with the media about it and whatnot. But I think it's, going to be a beginning of a grieving process for people who were affected by these losses.
But definitely very classy on everybody's part, that's for sure. Alexa, let's end it on a good note. As you said, UConn is always a contender for the Final Four, and it's been a while since they've taken the national championship home. What do you think their chances are this year?
Oh God, putting me on the spot. Well, this year is tough because I think there's anywhere between up to 6 maybe teams that have a shot at the title, and there's been so many upsets that I think March is going to be crazy. So I don't even know. You never know if who's going to actually end up in New Orleans. But I don't think it's unfair to say that they might need a little bit of luck. I think they would need a lot of moving pieces to come together at the same time. I don't think they can win it all without, or I think they can win it all with just 3 or 4. Coming up, they're going to need those contributions from the freshmen. I think, they can't get over the games recently. If they got poorly, they kind of, and they can't do something like that. I think they can learn. I think they can grow between now and then, for sure. But, that might be easier said than done. So I'm not willing to kind of completely out on a limb, but I think it's fair to say that they just compete. If they peak at the right time, I do think that's going to be a tough team for anyone. But there's a lot that needs to happen between now and then, and whatever happens with other teams like South Carolina is looking tough, Oregon, of course, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg too. It's going to be exciting here. I think it's nice to kind of have some uncertainty. So we'll have to see come March and April.
That we will. Alexa Philippou from the Hartford Courant covers UConn Women's Basketball. We thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight.
No problem. Anytime.
And you can follow Alexa on Twitter at Alexa Philippou. That is AlexAPHILIPPOU. Give her a follow on Twitter if you will. The 4th-ranked Huskies, they remain atop the American standings at a perfect 8-0. Tulane holds down second place. They are 6-1 as we record this podcast on Tuesday evening. The women's basketball honors go to Elmarl Thomas of Cincinnati as the player of the week. Averaged 27 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game while shooting 69% from the field in 2 league wins for the Bearcats last week. Set a new career high with 35 points in the 85-66 win over Houston on Wednesday. She went 14-22 from the field, 7-8 from the charity stripe, and snagged 10 rebounds. And she followed that up with a 19-point performance, 7 boards and 3 assists in a victory over Temple, 86-81. Then the freshman of the week, Anna Meerkat of the UConn Huskies, repeating as the freshman of the week. After their wins over number 23 Tennessee and ECU, she averaged 14.5 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2.5 steals per game on the week, including a career-high 24 points against the Pirates on Saturday. And she recorded 8 3-pointers to tie the AAC single-game freshman record. And against the Vols, she had a well-rounded performance with 5 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, and 3 steals in 37 minutes of playing time. Some other honors in other sports. Let's go to track and field. The men's track athlete of the week, Travis Collins of Houston. He picked up a runner-up result in the 60-meter dash with a time of 6.65 at the Texas Tech Red Raider Invitational. It's fastest time in the event in the American this season, tied for 17th nationally. And the men's field athlete of the week, Damian Berthanet. He was the top collegiate finisher in the heptathlon at the Rod McCravey Memorial in Lexington. He scored 5,502 points in the competition. And that is actually the top score in the American and 3rd highest in the NCAA in that event this season. Women's track athlete of the week, Naomi Taylor of Houston. She posted the 60-meter hurdles time in the American. The top time, her hurdles prelim effort at 8.14 leads the conference, tied for 6th fastest time nationally among all athletes. And the women's field athlete of the week, Dania McMiller of Memphis, swept the weight throw and shot put events at the KMS Invitational in Birmingham, Alabama. Her top distance of 71 feet 8 inches of the weight throw ranks 2nd in the American, 5th in the NCAA this season. Turning to tennis, the American Athletic Conference Men's Tennis Player of the Week, Gabriel DeCamps of UCF. And he was ranked number 22 in the Oracle ITA Fall Rankings. He defeated 2 top 30 players in singles play as UCF earned a split in 2 matches in that ITA kickoff weekend in Los Angeles. And the AAC Women's Tennis Player of the Week, Martina Okolova of Tulsa. She's a repeat in this category as she defeated a ranked opponent in singles and went 2-0 in doubles, including a win against a nationally ranked tandem as the Golden Hurricanes split a pair of matches in the ITA kickoff weekend in Durham, North Carolina. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Jeff Allen _88. I'll be happy to engage with you via the Twitter platform at any time. And as always, make sure you keep it here on the Knightline Sports Network, refreshing those feeds for the Sons of UCF and our flagship program, Knightline. And that will do it for this week's AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for listening.